Welcome back to Gambler's Podcast, Dark Side of Gambling. Today, I want to talk a little bit about mental health and gambling. And obviously, I've talked about it, in different episodes and some of the other podcasts that I mentioned, kind of what it did to me throughout my life. But one of the most important things that I wanted to talk about in regards to that is really being able to talk openly. And for so many years, I kept it a secret that I gambled the way I did. Many people knew that, I had, a little bit of a gambling problem, or at the very least, that I was really into it and I was somewhat of a degenerate, but they had no idea what was going on inside of me. I had a ex girlfriend that I was with for about 12 years. And in that 12-year time span, um, for probably at least 10 of those years, I was gambling quite a bit. She had no idea of the depths of it. It was just most of the conversations only popped up when I felt it was convenient for her to tell me, don't do this and don't do that. It wasn't really a conversation that made me feel like, hey, you care about what's going on with me. And ultimately, that led to us separating and breaking up at some point. And I really didn't have a problem with that. I wasn't uh, too hurt about it because I didn't feel like this particular person cared enough about what was actually going on with me inside of me. It was just like, hey, stop it, don't do this and don't do that. And at the end of the day, I think we all know if you're a degenerate gambler, it's just not that simple. And I was lucky enough to meet my current fiance about a year after that relationship ended. And it didn't start out where I was honest and upfront about everything, but I dropped a lot of hints about how degenerate I was when it came to the gambling. And for the most part, she was not too happy about that early on. But at some point, as those conversations started to happen more and our relationship got a little more serious, I was lucky enough to where we got into a position where uh, the conversation started to open up, and she understood that what I was actually dealing with wasn't just gambling for the sake of gambling, but I had an addiction problem. And being able to have those discussions, early on, uh, allowed me to alleviate a ton of the stress level that was sitting on my shoulders. I think we all know that for the most part, 99% of the time, we feel like we're alone. We feel like we don't have anybody we can talk to about the details of what we've done. And so that makes it really difficult when you're bottling everything up. I think that probably goes for most things in life that you deal with. If you bottle it up, probably not going to be a great thing long term. Now, there's not everything that I want to have a deep discussion about, but when it comes to something as serious as the depths of the gambling addiction, you have to have somebody that you can talk to. I was not somebody who would call the gamblers hotline. I just didn't. I didn't feel like um, I didn't feel like they were going to offer me a solution. I just didn't. I think it's easy for people to say, "Don't do it," and then I say, "Well, cool. Well, how am I supposed to pay X, Y, Z?" And that was the way I looked at it. It wasn't necessarily the most logical thing, but as a gambler, it felt pretty logical to me. So, luckily, at some point, those conversations started to happen, and then I started to become fully transparent. I would say, I'm going to gamble, I'm going to bet, this is what's going to happen. Here are the likely outcomes. Here's how I'm going to feel. I might be irritable. I kind of talked about what my feelings and my reactions would be. And as that kind of mode started to get in gear for me, I think it's ultimately what led me to get to a point where I was able to quit gambling. I don't think that if I kept it all in the entire time and I didn't talk about it with her, that that I would have that I wouldn't have been able to stop gambling. It was a situation where, as I spoke about it, verbalized it to somebody else, and really started to listen to myself, and then think about what that person might be thinking, and then really being surprised that she was okay with it, meaning she understood and accepted who I was and was appreciative that I didn't hide, my losses or what I'm borrowing or what I'm doing. I was pretty open with it. So once I started to become open and honest with who I was, when it became, well, in my mind, when I understood that it was a full blown addiction, and I needed help, that enabled me to move forward. That's a tough thing. I think that most people may tell people that I lost a lot of money, I'm trying to figure it out, X, whatever. But are you really telling them the things that you're going through? That you've borrowed money from people that you shouldn't have borrowed money from, that you owe the IRS, that you hurt relationships with your family members, that you hurt relationships with your friends, that you hurt relationships with, your coworkers or whatever the case is. If you're able to talk to somebody about that, hopefully somebody very close to you, I think it will help you get yourself to that next step. Now, nothing is a guarantee, but I do believe when you verbalize that, when you hear it out loud, you start to think about things in a little bit different manner. It becomes, you understand how illogical it is, where you're none of it really makes any sense, yet you keep going down this path. And then there's this person in front of you listening and accepting you for who you are, me in this instance. I give her so much credit because there's no way that I could stop or I could get to the next level with my life if I wasn't being judged in the manner that most people would judge me. Most people don't think that gambling is a big deal, like doing drugs or being an alcoholic or having an addiction to something else. They think that it's something that you can simply just put away and call it a day. So I think giving the people around you an opportunity to, be a part of that path that you're on, I think is huge. And if you can do that, you you might be able to get to a different level in understanding yourself, why you gamble, what it looks like stepping away from your body for a second, taking a look and saying, how is this impacting genuinely the people around me? So find somebody, if you can, that is open and understanding within your life, and ask them to be open and understanding to having a conversation, to understanding this is what I'm going through. This is why it's hard to stop. This is why I'm always feeling like this. This is why I'm being distant. Letting them know that these things are causing your depression, causing your social anxiety, causing your personal issues. It's going to allow you to have another door that you could actually walk through versus thinking that you're stuck with door number one. And once I had that door open, all I wanted to do was get through that door so I can never go back. I don't want to ever do that again. And I don't want to put her in a position where she has to deal with it again or worry that I'm doing something weird, on the back end. Being honest with her allowed me to gain a lot of trust too. Hey, this is how much money I lost. This is what I did. I have nothing today. I did X, I did this. And I think that she appreciated that level of honesty. And I think most people will, but you have to give the people around you an opportunity. I didn't give most people, if not anybody, an opportunity to hear the truth. And I regret on some level that it took me this long to do that, but it came to and from the right person, in my relationship, that actually cared enough. So take some time, think about that as you go along through your week. See if there's somebody that you can have a conversation with, and have that open conversation about what you're going through. That what you're dealing with is a real addiction. It may not be, some type of drug. It may not be opioids or, some type of hard drug, or may not be drinking alcohol every night, alone. It may be something that they don't understand. It's not documented the same way. People aren't looking at the same way. Uh, you know, Gambling is somewhat glorified. You see it on the commercials on TV, and everywhere around us. So most people won't consider that. So think about that. I wanted to just take a moment today to kind of bring that up, and hopefully this might help you take that next step. So, comment below, let me know how you feel. Let me know if that's worked for you or if you're going to do it. Um, Make sure you like, subscribe, and hopefully share this with somebody that may need some help that you know as well. Thanks again. Have a great day.